Today we are doing a Dynasty startup mock draft with 2024 rookies. A lot of people are going to say, okay, it's a little bit early to be putting rookies in this thing. It's never too early, guys. We play Dynasty. Duh, we're diehards. So today we are going to be doing this full mock draft. It's going to be interesting to see how this has shaken things up. I mean, you have CJ Stroud, who Ryan Brett and I were right about this whole time, has probably jumped up into the top 6 picks now. You have guys like Quentin Johnson, who's probably not even going to get drafted in the 15-round draft that we have here. I hope he does get drafted. He should be drafted, but you just never know. We're so irrational. We're going to do this 15-round mock draft. We're going to do this live. So we are recording right now with a bunch of our supporters, a bunch of our listeners, and some guys from flockfantasy.com/domain. So we're going to do this live. You're going to get our live analysis and reactions. Let's get this thing started, and here we go, boys.
I can't wait to see, personally, where these rookie picks go.
No, that's what everybody's watching for.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who clicks on this video is going to be looking like, okay, where did
that's why I said at the beginning.
Where did Marvin Harrison?
We're drafting rookies in this draft.
All right, so far so normal. Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts, and
I'm glad that there's been some multi-year consistency here, and it really
Mahomes and Allen, really.
Mahomes and Allen over the last 4 years now.
Yeah, 3.5.
That's nice to see.
Yeah.
Because that's the only consistency you're going to see.
And there it is. Of course, Wes takes C.J. Stroud there at number 4. So C.J. Stroud obviously jumping up into the top 6 quarterbacks probably in Dynasty Fantasy Football, in Superflex leagues, and Wes is from Texas, so I
am not going to lie, man. I mean, C.J. Stroud honestly being the last quarterback standing that isn't a top 3 quarterback in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I think you're going to start seeing him consistently go over Burrow and some other guys that I'm not going to name drop yet until we see them go. But Joe Burrow obviously going right after CJ Stroud. Again, that's something I think we're going to see be pretty common. I
honestly do too.
And can I get behind that at this point in time? Yes, it's early. I know market value could change a lot of things here, but I'm taking Burrow still. He has the guaranteed contract. He's going nowhere. CJ Stroud has been great. But I'm personally still riding with Joe Burrow.
So you see Trevor Lawrence go at 6. I'm kind of surprised by that. A lot of people have been lower on Trevor Lawrence.
That's a guy keeping his head above the waves.
I like that though.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
he's about to get a contract extension too.
And that's what people
they're
don't
going to pay
realize.
him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he does.
So
in
you
fantasy
still think he's absolutely worthy of going in the top 10 picks of Dynasty still?
I think he's worthy. Do I think he will consistently? I don't think he will. People are so low on him. It also depends on what he does over these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think
in the league.
Because remember last year he ended so hot.
He's had some very good weeks because of his rushing upside. He's had 3 rushing touchdowns over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
this
is easy for me.
We'll make our picks here and then
this is very easy for me.
Give some analysis, but Nathan's
I'm
up.
going to take Anthony Richardson at the 111. I think you're going to see Anthony Richardson slide up boards potentially. Again, we could be wrong about all of this. This is a lot of just anticipation of what's going to happen market value-wise in the offseason. But one thing that's held true post-Anthony Richardson injury is he's very much maintained his value. He was so dang good in such a short amount of time, with his rushing upside and his passing volume, that I think people are kind of afraid to drop him in the rankings. Yeah, there's a lot of risk with Anthony Richardson. The fact that he got injured a couple of times and then ended up having a season-ending injury, you wonder about his durability. Yeah, but he's a 21-year-old rookie quarterback who's going to be on the Colts for the next 2 to 3 years. At least with that fantasy upside, it's unreal, unbelievable. I think he's sticking in the first round, probably going where he was going at the end of last offseason.
So let's give an analysis of the couple picks here as you make these picks. Yeah, so I really want to talk about Tua here.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Justin Jefferson at 7, pretty normal. Jamar Chase at 10, so those guys both stay in the first round. Oh, crap. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
He's gonna do it. All
I'm
right.
gonna do it.
Take him.
The 101.
Okay, and you are taking.
I'm going to keep my head above the waves.
Smart.
And I'm going to take Caleb Williams here at the 101. Do I see the argument for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Absolutely, 100%. I think he more likely than not goes top 5 at least. There's a potential that he even goes top 3. I would not be shocked if that happens. He's amazing. We think he's generational. We hope that he goes to the Colts, even though it's very, very, very unlikely as Colts fans. But at the end of the day, we're playing in a Superflex league in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And Caleb Williams is, I mean, the athletic tools that he has are so much more refined and ahead of, like, even what we saw in Anthony Richardson this past year. Maybe not as athletic as Anthony Richardson, but like that's just the type of quarterback. He's just so athletic, so cerebral. He has such great arm talent that, like, at the end of the day, you put him in the right situation and you're looking at a top 5 dynasty quarterback easily. I mean, look at what CJ Stroud has done in a with a nice performance his rookie season and how much he's jumped up. Like, I see that being possible for Caleb Williams as well.
So then you have the 102 just went off the board. I'll wait for what Liam says here in the chat. But wow.
Drake May.
Okay. At the 2-3 in this Dynasty Startup mock here is now late November. We have Drake May and Caleb Williams both going within the first 15 picks. You have A.J. Brown at the 2-4, and then at the 2-5, we just had the 203, the 103 in rookie mocks just go off the board, and that one is Marvin Harrison Jr. So Danger Boy starts with Lamar Jackson and Marvin Harrison Jr. You have the top 3 picks in the rookie draft go off the board within the first 16 picks of this draft, 17 picks.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting to note here. A.J. Brown going at the 2-4, this is right where he went consistently last season, and he's had a better year than he's ever had in previous seasons. I honestly kind of expected him to kind of reach the 1-2 turn spot, maybe even go as high as a 110, 111, but you may see A.J. Brown just kind of stick with where he was last season, obviously getting 1 year older, even though he's not old. People will start considering him old since he's not technically a cornerstone asset anymore. But then also, all these rookie picks, again, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., they're all going to be going here consistently. I mean, Bijan Robinson, a running back, was going at the 110, 109. Now you're looking at a bunch of really good quarterbacks this year and Marvin Harrison Jr. This is going to become commonplace, guys.
Count me in. I do want to explain the Tua pick. Honestly, in the moment, I kind of forgot about the rookie picks, but because Tua was the best quarterback on the board there by far. The reason I took Tua is because when you're looking at the quarterbacks after Tua in that range, Fields, Watson, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins. I mean, they're very scarce. Tua absolutely will go within the first 15 picks of startups, and he should be going there. Now, I'd probably take Caleb Williams, probably. But still, if you're in the comments saying that Tua shouldn't be going there, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
Superflex league.
And staying on the topic of the Dolphins, you got Tyreek Hill going at the 2-8. I think that'll be commonplace.
And it should have been last
Waddle
year.
at the 2-10, I think is honestly, I don't think you're wrong. Personally, with my personal opinion of Jalen Waddle, I think this could be market value wrong once we get to the offseason. I think Jalen Waddle is going to fall significantly. He's been very inconsistent. It's not necessarily his fault. It just kind of is what it is. It's been a down year. His average depth of target hasn't been, or his yards after the catch haven't been as amazing as it were last year. Like, it just isn't the same Jalen Waddle that we saw last season when his volume went down, his production actually went up. It didn't happen in 2023, and it's just because Tyreek Hill was so unbelievable. But you're talking about Dynasty Fantasy Football. I think you'll see Jalen Waddle still settle around the early to mid third round.
So much like last year, you have Lamb, Brown,
Good pick with Hawk.
Yeah, I'll talk about
nice.
Amon-Ra, Hill, Wilson, Waddle, and Olave go in the second. So you have a ton of receivers go off the board there. And then a couple running backs sprinkled, as well as Marvin Harrison Jr. And then a couple running backs sprinkled in Christian McCaffrey and Bijan. Bijan obviously sliding about half a round in ADP. According to this mock draft, again, things are going to even themselves out. This is one mock draft. But again, right now, Bijan, about a half round slide. That's what I expect. And Christian McCaffrey still going in the second round is pretty impressive. I took Hawkinson at the 3-1. This is a tight end premium league. TJ Hawkinson has been ridiculous this year. Yeah. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Even after Kirk Cousins got hurt, he's still the tight end 2 in PPR leagues, in tight end premium leagues. I think this is where you saw guys go. Kyle Pitts went much earlier than this when he was after his rookie season. You've seen guys like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews go this high last year. That's where Hawk deserves to go, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And you're taking the 104 here, which is the value pick here.
Malik Neighbors at the 104. Jeez. I think you're seeing his production. I mean, he's
so honestly, we're officially flipping Neighbors and Igbuka.
I think you have to with what
think you do
Neighbors
too.
has been doing over the last
From a production
month.
standpoint.
From a production standpoint over the last month, I think Malik Neighbors, like the amount of dynasty hype he's been getting, even if I really like Emeka Igbuka, even if I really like some of these other wide receivers, I think the dynasty community has spoken, and I need to listen from a market value perspective and take Malik Neighbors right now in these mock drafts at this price. I mean, this is a full round after Marvin Harrison Jr. when some people are bold enough to put him and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the same tier. I think you're getting really good value here.
Jahmyr Gibbs goes at the 3-4 here. And so you've seen Jahmyr Gibbs pretty much maintain his value. After starting his rookie season and really not getting a lot of run, he had some really good games in there in his last game. 7 points because you saw David Montgomery take the touchdowns away. I mean, that is a realistic worry for Jahmyr Gibbs. But he's still the RB10 in PPR leagues.
Yep.
Because, again, running back has sucked this year. So I think you have to put a 21-year-old PPR running back. Even with that concern, you have to put him here. So you have Kyler Murray still going here at the 3-6, and this is pretty good value for Kyler. Like, I was thinking about taking Kyler at the 112.
Yeah, this is something that we saw coming a mile away. Everyone who saw in your drafts Kyler Murray falling to the 4th, 5th, 6th round, it was so obvious that he was going to increase in value because of his contract insulation, because of, regardless of where he ended up playing, he was going to increase in value. You just knew it was going to happen, even if he didn't have the rushing upside that he ended up showcasing right when he came back from that ACL tear. Like, he's just outperformed even my expectations for him, and of course he's going to increase in value. I think you're going to see him go higher than this towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, I do too. JSN still going in the mid-3rd here.
Good.
I honestly think he slides a little bit more than this in the aggregate collection of drafts, but Dak Prescott has actually jumped back up to the mid-3rd here. And then Jonathan Taylor, who I essentially told Wes to pick.
Yeah,
so maybe Wes would have taken him anyways. But
Jonathan Taylor, there's a legitimate argument to still take him over Breece Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs because he's the only running back that has... I mean, he has 3 years of contract insulation, just like these other running backs in Breece Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're on rookie deals. Like, he has contract insulation. He just showcased a vintage Jonathan Taylor performance over the last couple of weeks. Love to see it. And I don't know. I think he's going to continue to be a really good value in what seems to be a very bare running back landscape now in Dynasty Fantasy Football. It's tough, man. But like CMC up to Dynasty running back 2. As a 27-year-old running back, you can't hate it anymore because it's just been so bad. Justin Fields, let's talk about this. Justin Fields goes at the 310. First of all, give me some
Nuckies.
We really held our ground despite the physical abuse, the verbal abuse.
The physical abuse that we got from all of you.
The verbal abuse that was so brutal that it felt physical when we were saying don't take Justin Fields at the end of the first round. We knew he was going to fall. We didn't know. We did know. We knew he was going to fall in value. Here he falls at the 310. I think this is more of a reasonable price because I do think regardless of where he ends up, if it's with Chicago long-term or with another team, he has enough rushing upside to maintain his value probably for a couple more seasons. But I think it also would be merited for him to drop in value even more in my personal opinion.
For those keeping track at home, that's about a 2-round value loss on somebody you picked in the first round last week.
That's a big loss.
You know what I think that warrants?
Don't ring. No, don't do it. Don't do it because he's going to put up a clinic tonight. No. Don't even think about it, bud. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It doesn't matter what he does the rest of the season. We were right.
I mean,
about
yeah,
Fields.
you're right.
We
People
were
are just going to crap on us. So
we're never going to get credit for it. So we're going to give ourselves some credit here. This is the second gong ring of all time, ladies and gentlemen. But in the middle of this mock draft, what you have seen is 2 handsome idiots take on the world and prove them wrong. And all the Chicago Bears fans cried in our comments section.
This can become known as the cursed gong. It does feel so good, though. It does feel very good. I am interested to see where Justin Fields eventually falls, if he even goes a little bit higher than this based off of his performance towards the end of this year, if it's good, if it's bad, whatever. I don't know. I am genuinely curious to see where Justin Fields goes. Like seeing Bryce Young still go at the end of the 3rd round, I think that's very fair. I think that's very fair.
Well, and a guy that was waiting to see where he went here was Jordan Addison. I'm fine with this price.
Yep, I am too.
So here's what's interesting. Outside of the rookie picks, let's look at the top 36, even 40 now picks here. All of these guys are the same guys that were here last year. You've had really nobody jump up into the stratosphere here. Like, Jordan Addison's been by far the biggest sleeper.
There's one big name that hasn't jumped up into the stratosphere either yet. So
you're going to take him?
If he falls to me, I don't know if he will.
I think he will. I think people are forgetting.
I don't. That is true because the ADP on
the
sleeper
ADP
is so
screwy.
bad. But
You have to really
like T Higgins at the 4.5. You're not going to see that. I think T Higgins is going to start for a stretch towards the early part of the offseason. I think he's going to fall to the 6th, maybe even 7th round if you're lucky. And then people are going to start getting smart again and being like, oh, he's going to get a big contract somewhere.
You want to know
It'll probably end up being the alpha wide receiver. What?
So we had our rookie pick just taken.
Yep.
Guess who it was?
Rome Odunze.
Wow.
I love Rome Odunze.
Enough to take him in the 4th round of a Dynasty startup?
Oh, I could get there. I haven't done my film analysis. I haven't done my in-depth film analysis on Rome Odunze yet, but from what I've seen, passing the eye test, the routes that I've watched him run, and just his ability to command targets there in a very good offense with Michael Penix, obviously, a CFP contender, like... I am all about Rome Odunze. I already know he is on my guy in this year's draft class.
Guess
for
which?
Sure.
Don't look at the chat. Guess which rookie just went next. You're never gonna guess it.
I'm never gonna guess it.
Yes.
Is it the guy from Florida State?
Nope.
Keon Coleman?
Nope. It is Bo Nix.
Oh wow, that's a shot called. That
is quite the shot called.
It is quite the shot called. Age obviously doesn't matter as much at the quarterback position in the NFL draft.
Wow.
If Bo Nix, I mean, to this guy's credit, if Bo Nix really shows out these last couple of games, I mean, this time last year was really what boosted CJ Stroud's draft stock. It was the Georgia game. It was the last game of the season that skyrocketed his draft stock. I mean, that film was money. That film was gold.
This is getting really interesting.
I mean, Bo Nix and Oregon, they're at their best right now. If he really shows out these last couple weeks, I think there's a chance that he really boosts his draft stock. So it's a shot called. I wouldn't bet on it though right now.
We got to make our picks, but there's a lot of analysis to be had here. So
there goes Puka.
I know. So let's talk about that here in a second.
Yep. I know who I'm taking here because I'm taking him for market value. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but you're going to see this guy going a lot earlier than where I'm taking him right now. I'm taking Devon Achane at the 4.11. Yes, again, injury concerns, but people have seen his upside. People have seen what he does in a very explosive offense in Miami. And I just personally, I don't see him falling to the 4.11. I don't. I think he's going to go tail end of the 3rd, and I think people could get really ballsy. You know how irrational the Dynasty community can get sometimes. They could take him as early as the early 3rd, maybe. So I'll take him there.
I'm going to take a guy here at the turn. I have to take him. My first pick's going to be Drake London. I think Drake London now is slid around from last year. I'm fine taking him here because there's another wide receiver that a lot of people are going to take over him here. I'm still taking Drake London over that wide receiver. I have to take another tight end, and I have to take Sam Laporta there.
Good pick.
Sam Laporta is being valued as the tight end 1 in most places, and I took T.J. Hawkinson 2 rounds ago. Sam Laporta, you're going to see go in the fourth round or earlier for most of this offseason. I can tell you that confidently.
Well, I mean, I really should be following suit with you here, and we've been talking about how top 4 tight ends. At this point, we said it was top 6 tight ends last year, and it was true from a league-winning perspective.
Now it's not true.
Now it's top
less.
4 at best. We haven't done the research on it, but I can guarantee you it's no better than top 4. There's a lot of guys I like here. I'm going Dalton Kincaid.
That's who I literally saw Kincaid, and I was like, wait a minute. Laporta's still on the board.
Dalton Kincaid, there's an argument that Dalton Kincaid should be tight end 2 in Dynasty right now. So
an easy argument.
And you're getting him as a tight end 4 in this mock. I'll take that easy.
So what you saw, you had, again, Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels go in the 4th round here. That is surprising.
Jaden Daniels.
I don't think their market value starts that high, but what you've seen is like after Justin Fields, which honestly he maybe couldn't have even gone there, but we'll see even after Tua, in the 3 rounds that have followed after the first, you've only had Kyler, Prescott, and Fields go of the existing quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
The quarterback market is a mess, and people are taking shots on their guys because they know that the quarterback market in a Superflex league is vitally important, but it is also a train wreck right now.
Yeah.
A complete and total train wreck.
Total train wreck.
So that's really interesting. And then Puka Nacua. This is about where I expected him to jump up to. I'm fine with this price. I think he deserves it. And Devon Achane,
he absolutely does.
It's definitely a market value pick, but I'm fine with this price too. I think he goes down eventually.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I thought about taking Saquon there.
Yeah, I think Saquon's done enough in such a horrible situation that he's going to maintain his value because, again, He's going to get a contract extension,
yeah.
and we're all desperate for running backs right now.
And it's just ugly. I mean,
Really
so
is.
he's the 1, 2, 3. He's the running back 8 off the board.
There goes Tank Dell at the 5.5.
I guarantee his keep trade cut value is absurd right now.
Yep, I was going to say this is
I want to
the
know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Tank Dell goes off the board at the wide receiver 18 here. So that's under current market value according to Keep Trade Cut, because I mean Tank Dell's flirting with wide receiver 1 numbers right now. I think you're going to see Tank Dell once we get to the offseason go higher than this. So I really do think that's a good pick at this price. So I can't get over that he's 24 years old. That just makes me question his long-term dynasty value. Not that 24 is old per se, but I'm like, I mean, by the time we're talking about a second deal, a second contract for a wide receiver, and this is assuming that Houston never drafts another wide receiver, like he's 28 years old,
but
going on 29.
But going in line with our own philosophy here, do you think that Tank Dell over the course of his rookie contract can be hyper-productive like he is now?
I think he can, but
that really should be.
Do you really think that they're not going to draft any more wide receivers?
They probably will. From what I'm seeing from Tank Dell right now and CJ Stroud,
he's been incredible.
I mean,
and I'm not trying to discount Tank Dell's production at all. Like, I think he's really been amazing. I'm just trying to be a little bit realistic. And like, can I realistically see 3 years down the road Tank Dell like being one of the guys?
I'll be honest with you. I can see him doing this. He looks like T.Y. Hilton out there. Like,
I know he does.
We talked about Josh Allen looking like T.Y.,
good.
but he legit looks and plays like T.Y.
I know.
And I think he can do it. And you've seen so many small guys.
Too.
He's fast. Like, I think he can be productive for 4 years, and that's why I think he's worthy of where he's at.
Do you think you'll see a correction in the NFL over the next year or two, though, where you start seeing some of these bigger guys come back and be a little bit more productive? Because, I mean, these corners are getting faster with the speed of these wide receivers as well, where I think you could see you could almost see a shift potentially. I mean,
maybe,
I could be wrong. And with that shift could result in Houston drafting one of those stereotypical, like, big body wide receivers who's kind of an alpha that could really command maybe more targets than Tank Dell. I could be wrong. And that's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of hypotheticals. At the end of the day, the only thing that's not hypothetical is Tank Dell's production right now. And it has been amazing. So I do like that price there.
So Brandon Aubrey goes at the 5'10", and as we know, that's not Brandon Aubrey. That is a rookie pick. And the rookie pick that just went was Brock Bowers. So again, in rookie drafts, goes in the 5th round, and it's Brock Bowers, a tight end. In a tight end premium league, it's fairly good value for Brock Bowers, honestly. And then Travis Kelce right after him. So really interesting.
Kelce
there.
at the 5'11".
Yeah, that's
pretty. I mean, Kelce was going 2'11" just this offseason. So
he also did say he just said in the chat he forgot he took Andrews, but take the value. And I took 2 tight ends. I'm not building a team here. I'm building a portfolio value.
Do you think Andrews falls further than the 4.2? I mean, that's where he was going last year, and that was pre-injury. I think he falls further.
He falls. Yeah, I do too. I think we have some good drafters here.
Deshaun Watson, I think he falls. I think he'll go lower than the 5th round.
I honestly was thinking about taking Deshaun.
I'm surprised he didn't make it back to us, honestly.
With the way that his market value looks like, according to Keep Trade Cut, yes. Yeah. But I think with the contract, I'm just comfortable taking him still. And then Ryan Brett is going to take the next rookie pick here. This is the 108, and he's going to put his pick in the chat. Eckler goes at the 6'2".
Yeah. Trayvon Henderson.
Oh, that's the 109. Sorry.
Trayvon Henderson at the 109.
First running back in this rookie class off the board is the 109, but the 109 goes in the 6th round of Dynasty startups. That is insane, man.
We're getting to that point again. We're getting towards the latter third of those first round picks where we perceive them to have a lot more value earlier in the offseason than when we actually get to draft day, because we don't know what the landing spots are yet. We don't actually know where these people end up getting drafted. So some of these players a lot of these receivers that are left, rookie wide receivers, I think are really, really good, I mean, I'm just kind of afraid to take them because you don't really know where they're going to end up going.
Right. Yeah. Landing spot is huge for these guys. Look at Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep.
The best wide receiver in this class, in my opinion.
Yep.
And the least productive of all those guys.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift goes at the 6'3",
which is he's maybe a round higher where he was going last year.
That's where he should go right now. It's about a round or two higher than where he went last season. I think DeAndre Swift is going to have one of the most offseason outcome dependent values once we get to, again, the offseason. Is he going to re-sign with the Eagles? Is he going to get tagged? How long will that re-signing be if he does re-sign? Does he go elsewhere? Really, really a lot of questions with DeAndre Swift, which is why, again, he's going to be one of those cheaper contending running backs that you can get. But also, if you're rebuilding, I'm getting him off my roster as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Nathan took Josh Downs right there. We'll talk about the quarterback run that we actually just had. But now I'm on the board, and we have gotten through 9 rookie picks in this draft. And there is a guy here that has not been selected that I am pretty surprised about. And I'm going to go ahead and take him here. I love taking wide receivers, 6'7" turn area, and I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka here.
Good job.
Yep, I'm going to take Egbuka. And I think that this is a really good price for him. I think he'll end up going higher than this by the time people see his draft capital. But I'm really comfortable with him as a prospect. I think he's fairly safe. I'm not super worried about the production this year. I think the quarterback issues at Ohio State have been exactly that, issues. I mean, although he's been decent, I do think that Ohio State has been a little bit underwhelming this year all around offensively. I like Emeka Egbuka, and I do think that he's going to be a very good NFL wide receiver. So I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah,
but talk about the quarterback run we just had. This got a little bit interesting here.
Yeah, it does. So you got Jared Goff going at the 6'6", so he's really maintained value. Brock Purdy, then I really think this is interesting for Brock Purdy. And I think Brock Purdy this offseason could end up emerging as one of the better values in Dynasty fantasy football when you're looking at his production and his situation in San Francisco. Compared to where he just went in this draft, there's an argument to be made that he should have gone 2 rounds higher.
And then for my next pick here, I think there's a couple different candidates, but man, do you see any clear guys here that have fallen?
Clear? Nothing's clear at this point.
I don't.
There are guys that I like a lot.
For my second pick here, I'm going to take Jordan Love. I don't think Jordan Love's been super great this year, but
he's been a lot better.
But I do think he's been better recently, and I do think also that they're going to continue to ride with him next season to see what he's got. So because of that, I think he's got some insulated value. Superflex league. I do think that he's going to have some good value retention as the season goes on. I ultimately don't think he's going to pan out, but I would definitely take him here for value perspective. And I did have him in my queue, so that's a good pick.
Yeah, I think it is. And these quarterbacks in general that have gone in the 6th round, Goff, Purdy, Howell. Goff is Goff. We know what he is. I think that's fine where you take him. Brock Purdy, I think you could be looking at him long-term not long-term, but this offseason being one of the better Dynasty fantasy football values. And it's just purely because of his production. I don't really care what your opinion is of him as a talent or what his situation is and how he's been helped based off of that situation. At the end of the day, he's in a great situation. And he's scoring fantasy points, and he's going to be on that team for a very long time.
Yeah.
So you put all that together, and you're like, Brock Purdy at the 6'8", yes, please. I mean, you can make an argument that he should have gone at the 4'8", or even earlier than that. He's producing as a mid to low end quarterback 1 right now in fantasy, and it's been very sustainable. Sustainable.
This is wild, Nathan. Jordan Love is the quarterback 9 this year.
I know it's because of he's been very oddly efficient, from a touchdown ratio perspective.
Because he doesn't get a ton of yards or completions, but he gets a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah.
So weird.
He had a really poor stretch where I think a lot of people overreacted with Love, and I wanted to see a full season of him, and now he's really come on in the last month and started to play a lot better. I think you're looking at Jordan Love potentially being the franchise quarterback for the Packers of the future. Does that mean that he's going to be Aaron Rodgers from a talent perspective? No, but I mean, in fantasy, he's been very, very productive, and I think he could end up being a very good value here in the 7th.
Keon Coleman just went at the 7-3 here.
Good pick. He's a guy that could definitely jump up boards once we get into the pre-draft process, analyzing these wide receivers as talents. I think that was a very, very good pick.
Yeah. DJ Moore goes at the 7-4 here. And honestly, I think this is a good price for DJ Moore. I'm fine with this.
Yep.
So I'm proud of you guys for that.
Yeah. As bad as running back has been this season, I honestly kind of expected Kyron Williams to go earlier than this, but he ends up going at the 7-5. And personally, I think this is very wise of all y'all that are drafting with us right now, trying to wait and see what ends up happening with the Rams for the last stretch of this season, see what Kyron Williams ends up doing. But at the end of the day, as long as Kyron Williams is on the Rams for the next 2 seasons, we know he's not going to stay there. And we know Sean McVay isn't going to re-sign him. He's literally said it after the Gurley experiment, which failed miserably. He said, I will never sign a rookie running back to a second contract. I won't do it. So that really makes you question the long-term value of Kyron Williams. But for now, again, in a landscape that is seemingly very bare and very disgusting, at the moment, you got to take the points where they're at, even if they don't have great draft capital. But Kyron Williams, I mean, you can't deny his production. And not only has it been good production, it's not like Ben Rashad White-esque, where he's been inefficient but just getting volume. He's been like Austin Eckler-esque with his efficiency, getting like 7, 8, 9, 10 yards per catch on his receiving usage and very efficient in the run game as well. So I'm fine with that pick, honestly, because it's kind of becoming a shot in the dark in the 7th round anyways. You're buying those depreciating assets like Keenan Allen in the 7th round. So why not go and get Kyron Williams if you're a contender there as well?
So then you have Ramondre go off the board. He slid in value, shocker.
Yeah.
Rashad White stayed about the same. Keenan Allen. And then with the 112, our guy.
Michael Penix Jr.
I love him. I like the pick, too, honestly. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback.
This is interesting because I can't... I could be so wrong on this again because I think Penix is a very good quarterback, and he's been in college for a while, but I can't unsee the Hendon Hooker thing. But a lot of the reason Hendon Hooker fell is because he tore his ACL. And I like Penix as a prospect better than I do Hendon Hooker. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see Penix probably land in the 2nd round, like one of those rare 2nd round quarterback picks where he kind of has some decent upside, but a lot of question marks just with his development as a quarterback in college. And what could that translate to in the NFL? We'll see. But I think it'll result in him being probably drafted around here. So I think it's good.
So Rashee Rice goes at the 7-10, and that's a pretty decent jump.
I like
for
it.
Kansas City's wide receiver 1.
I like it.
Honestly,
a lot.
It could be higher than this, in my opinion. He's been good, and he's been the clear wide receiver 1 there. Obviously, wide receiver 1, not including tight ends. And then Cooper Kupp, who really is just kind of falling. And I could see him fall further than this, honestly. He's just not doing anything right now. He's just not. And Jahan Dotson, also been underwhelming. Tony Pollard. Oh, Tony Pollard fell in value.
Oh, like
interesting.
3 full rounds.
That's interesting. Who would have guessed that?
I don't know.
Interesting. Daniel Jones also fell about 3 full rounds.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's funny. Oh, he fell more than 3 full rounds. He fell almost 4. Going as early as the early 4th. On average, about the mid 4th. And he's now down to the early 8th round, which is about where he was going into the 2022 season. When you're kind of getting him for pretty cheap, you knew like, hey, this is a make or break year for him in New York, but with his draft capital, he's probably going to get another opportunity elsewhere where he gets signed to a contract and whatever. I'm still not a believer in Daniel Jones, the talent. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I never really thought he was, but at that price, why not take a shot at him with this rushing upside? Like you're essentially just getting... You're getting a cheap, less electric Justin Fields at more than half the price. Like why not do it? You know, I'm not against that at all. So I do think Trey McBride is interesting. He finds himself in the 8th round, and he's earned it for sure. I think it's very, very merited, obviously, with him being tied to Kyler Murray. I think for the foreseeable future, I don't think the Cardinals are going to.
He's going to be a free agent, so he's either getting paid or going to a new team. It's a guaranteed value bump for him.
McBride, he's not going to be a free agent.
I thought you were talking about Brown.
No, McBride. Dude, you silly boy.
Keep going.
Deebo Samuel, he's fallen a ton as well. Obviously struggled with injury a little bit this season. But I think, again, with the upside that he offers every single game, every single week on, one of the best teams in the NFL offensively, you got to be loving that price there. I mean, he's contributing to you scoring points every single week. Now, let's kind of cover the picks a bit here because there's a lot that have gone in the last couple of rounds. I'll just kind of read through who has gone after Michael Penix. You got at the 201 Xavier Worthy. Then you got Audric Estime, the running back out of Notre Dame. And then you have Jonathan Brooks, running back out of Texas, going 203. Troy Franklin, the Oregon wide receiver, going at the 204. And then Braylon Allen at the 205. That's a running back out of Wisconsin. I think you're getting to this point where it's a lot of dart throws in second-round territory from a rookie pick perspective, where you don't know where these guys are going to go draft capital-wise, but you're just kind of betting on some of the tools that they have, especially at running back. I mean, you could see any of these guys, Estime, Brooks, Braylon Allen, any of these guys could go second round in next year's draft. All of them could go day 3. Like, we literally do not know. I mean, we saw this with Sean Tucker and Zach Evans last season, but some of those guys did hold true, like Devon Achane did going in the 3rd round, like Zach Charbonnet did going in the 2nd round. So it really is just kind of wait and see with those guys. I definitely trust the wide receivers here more. Xavier Worthy, there's an argument you could have taken him early, but there's also the theory that he's purely a deep threat and could function like as that in the NFL. What does that mean for fantasy? That means boom bust, not very reliable. So we don't really know there yet either. Troy Franklin, an interesting pick there with USC, obviously been productive with Bo Nix. And again, going to be very interested to see what he showcases at the combine, especially. David Montgomery hanging around in the 9th round. I think that's pretty nice value for a guy who's obviously always going to be shorted playing alongside Jahmyr Gibbs. But there's also the flip side argument where it's like, maybe you should be shorting Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit because of David Montgomery. How much is David Montgomery going to take away from Gibbs' usage in the red zone? Well, sometimes he will, sometimes he won't, I guess, when you're looking at their production over the last month since both of them have been healthy and, really producing. I think I like his price here. I think I really do, especially, he's one of the few running backs, again, that has guaranteed contract insulation over the next couple of years. Najee Harris, we don't know what he's going to do. He went earlier than Monty in this draft. Brian Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco, they're getting closer to the end of their rookie deals as well. We don't know what their teams are going to do to them. I know the Chiefs aren't going to pay Pacheco, that's for sure. So that's a interesting one to deal with there in Montgomery, but I like it. I really do.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So this is interesting seeing Calvin Ridley and Quentin Johnston going back to back. These are two of the most disappointing wide receivers in Dynasty Fantasy Football this season in 2023. Obviously, Calvin Ridley, could he turn it on in the second half of the season? Absolutely he could. He's very capable of it. He's a very talented wide receiver. If he was going to produce, it would be in the second half of the season, which is what we expected. At least the two of us did. Correct. I guess a lot of people didn't. They expected him to produce right off the bat after not playing for 2 seasons. But here we are now. He's fallen to the 10th round. I think that's good value for Calvin Ridley. If he ends up in Jacksonville long-term, re-signing, or goes elsewhere, he's a very talented wide receiver. You can get him at a good price here. Quentin Johnston, I think there's a chance that Quentin Johnston starts falling to the 12th. I mean, people hate the guy.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate the guy.
You're like, oh, have you watched the film?
I mean, I'm the first to admit that Quentin Johnston's been beyond disappointing. Beyond disappointing. But so much team investment, for one. Second, Mike Williams is made of glass. He'll never be healthy again. Keenan Allen's going to be 32. He's having the best year of his career. But, how long is he going to be there? How long can they afford to pay him because of Herbert's mega deal? We really don't know. They got to stick with QJ, man. They got to stick with QJ. And we're not at the end of the season yet. We don't know if he will or won't post 500 yards because, historically, rookie wide receivers that don't have 500 yards on the season end up being very successful at all. But again, we don't know that yet for sure. There's a lot yet to be seen.
So I think there's a lot of values here in this round, honestly. Kamara is good at the 10-1. You've got Burks in the 10th, Goddard in the 10th. Goddard's a steal there, by the way, in a tight end premium league.
Yeah.
And then we also had a rookie pick go off at the 10-8, and that's going to be J.J. McCarthy. So that's a steal in the 10th round.
It's crazy seeing all these QBs. I'm really interested to see where some of them end up falling. A lot of it is going to it'll even itself out once we get to the combine and later to really see film-wise what these guys are going to do. But a lot of interesting quarterbacks for sure.
I'm going to take Mike Evans and Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet, obviously, because he's been extremely good this season. But then Mike Evans, because Mike Evans, the touchdowns have been crazy this year.
Yeah.
He just doesn't look like he's fallen off yet.
No.
So, in the 11th round, absolutely, I'll take the shot that he's going to help me contend next year.
Yeah.
And it's start 10, absolutely.
Yep. This is a stretch that I really like these receivers that are approaching their contract years where they're going to get deals likely elsewhere compared to where they are playing right now. That's Gabe Davis and Jerry Jeudy, Marquise Brown. Help me out. There's a couple other guys as well that we really like that are heading into contract years. Michael Pittman, obviously going early in the 5th round. He's going to be one of the more valuable ones. But Davis and Jeudy specifically, the market isn't very high on them right now, but they're going to get excited and more interested once they go places where they're not playing in poor situations or playing behind alpha wide receivers like Stephon Diggs or like playing with Russell Wilson in the Broncos offense. It's just not that great, not that ideal. Jerry Jeudy has been super disappointing. He has a ton of draft capital investment from the Broncos, which means other teams are going to want to buy into him as well, potentially. Maybe not give him a mega deal, but pay him a decent amount. I mean, he's still a pretty talented wide receiver. He just has not really produced or shown out like we expected him to. I think you could see the market really boost his value this offseason once he signs with another team, and that would be where I'd look to sell him. Same with Gabe Davis as well. I'd actually be interested where Gabe Davis ends up going as landing spot, see if he gets more consistent target volume in that situation, but I like their prices here.
Yeah. You just see Jaylen Warren go at the 11-5. That's really interesting to me because of where Najee Harris went. I mean, Najee Harris is still going 2 rounds ahead of Jaylen Warren. It tells you what people think about Jaylen Warren being the long-term solution there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So,
and we finally saw Chubb going at the 11-4.
Finally saw Chubb and Derrick Henry goes there. Matt Stafford in the 11th round as well. It's pretty good value. Joe Mixon. James Cook has fallen in value quite a bit in Dynasty, but West takes him there. That's an interesting one as well.
It is very interesting. Jameson Williams inevitably falls after another disappointing season that's been riddled with suspensions and being a deep threat and being a deep threat. Yeah. So
and he was also a deep threat.
Yeah. And Sam Laporta, which results in him, being a deep threat. So I do like his price here though at the 11-11.
I like the price.
Mean, he could be a nice Gabe Davis for you.
And then wrapping it up with the 12th round here, we had, Michael Mayer and Evan Ingram go at the turn, and those are pretty good tight end values in tight end premium leagues.
Yeah,
Dameon Pierce at the 12th. Dameon Pierce stinks. Imagine that. Who would have ever predicted that? Flashback to 2-3 years ago when we said that.
Musgrave's another good value also.
Really good value. Cortland Sutton has been really good this year in fantasy, and he goes here as well. J.K. Dobbins, Tyjae Spears, and Keaton Mitchell, all some guys you can take some shots on as running backs. You have Demario Douglas go in the 12th round. I honestly think he will be going earlier than that when it comes to real drafts. But again, you got to steal there. And I took Jacoby Myers. I think he's also very good value, especially if they're able to get a QB this offseason. But we're going to wrap it up there in terms of this video. Again, some really interesting things. We got through, I think, the 204, the 205 in this draft. And so hopefully it gave you a good idea of where these rookies are being valued. Somebody did say 206 is what we got through. Somebody said in the comments, this makes me want a lot of 24 seconds, and I think I agree with that. Because, I mean, if they're really being valued this high, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, and just to recap too, guys, we'll tell you what the rookie picks, the rookies that did go in order, 101 through 206. It was Caleb Williams, Drake May at the 102, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Bo Nix at the 106, Jaden Daniels, Brock Bowers at the 108, Travion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka at the 110, Keon Coleman, and then Michael Penix Jr. closing out the first round. And then in the top 6 picks in the second round were Xavier Worthy, Audric Estime, Jonathan Brooks, Troy Franklin, Braylon Allen, and then at the 206, J.J. McCarthy, who fell unexpectedly. I think you could see him rise up boards here. Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks for joining us for this video, guys. We're obviously going to do more of these as the season goes on. If you want to get in one of these drafts with us and be on one of our videos, flockfantasy.com/domain. If you choose some other Flock tier, you get a team blueprint. It's a comprehensive plan for your Dynasty team, multi-year. You get all the exclusives, including being on our videos. So if you want to do that, like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code DOMAIN. Make sure you use code DOMAIN when you sign up to receive our exclusives and get in these videos and things like that. Appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks so much for watching today, and we will see you later.